Hello and welcome to this video. In this video I would like to go into depth with the Orchestra by Sonuscore, which is a orchestral library for kontakt, which has some pretty neat functions. Besides, of course, the normal, you get your string sections and you get your brass and woodwinds, percussion and choir. I'm not really gonna go much into that. The only thing I have to say about that is that they are fantastic samples. They are not just a really pretty sounding synthesizer, they are actually recorded instruments with real musicians. I believe, let's see, the site says it's 80 player orchestra that has been recording this. I am not sure which studio it was done in, it doesn't really state that anywhere, but nonetheless it's fantastic samples. You don't get that much of each instrument, but I think the main thing about the orchestra is this thing with arpeggiators and stuff, and we're gonna get into that in a few minutes. But you get a pretty decent amount of, if we go into strings, you get your violins and violas and cellos and so on, and if we go further in, you get your legatos and pizzicato and tremolo and so on, all the normal stuff. But the interesting thing about the orchestra is this part, which is what I have open here. This part of the orchestra have a lot of different presets, and when you open up the orchestra, this is the first one you're gonna get, which is just called Strings Basic 8th number 1. And it sounds like this. And that was just one chord. I did not do anything fancy. I have no pre-recorded stuff. This is just one holding chord in one of the presets. If we go to Basic 8 number 2, it's still basic 8 notes, but with some different settings on the arpeggiators. And if you double click the preset here, you can get into a much more different way to pull this together. So if we keep on strings, we could go into orchestral rhythms, and we can choose 16 notes just for the fun of it. And we can, there's a lot of different stuff you can do here. The next one up here, called Animated Orchestra, is more composed pieces. So if we take Warrior's Path just for fun and we play a chord, so you get a more composed piece with different instruments. In this one we got our trumpets and violin, viola and trombone and cello. So if we try to engage all of them, I need to pull in a couple of different octaves here. You get a lot of different stuff, and of course we can building an empire. It's gonna sound very much different than the other one. You get the idea. I would not say this is for actually doing a finished composed piece. I would not do that. Because I like, when I compose for either video games or film, I would like to make my own stuff, but that's kind of the preset part of it. If we go further down, we have this. We can choose our instruments. So if we try to built upon building an empire. I'm not funny. So if we let's go for some violin there. Yes. And if we try to, let's go for a choir here, sustain, and let's go for a harp there. Alright, so now we have switched up the instruments, so now it sounds like this. Holy shit, that sounds bad. Alright, okay, so if we try to switch it up to something that would actually work for the next one, let's go for sustain on most of these. Choir, yeah, okay, yeah. So over here we can, no, why has that disappeared? Oh god, in the middle of the video? Thank you, greatly appreciated. Something went wrong. What went wrong? Now I can choose a picture. Something went wrong, I don't know what. Alright, so over here we can choose our arpeggiators, and if we want to switch it up on these arpeggiators, like we got arpeggiator 1 and 2 and 3 down here, we can go down and go into engines, and now we can choose arpeggiator 1. We can do some different stuff with it. Choose arpeggiator 2, do like this, and keep it quiet like they want here, and arpeggiator 3, yeah, let's go for this one. This is not going to make sense, by the way, this is just how to show what it does. So now we have edited a bit in the arpeggiator, so it will sound like this. We got some choir. That did not sound good, but you get the idea. You got your envelopes, of course. You can edit them like this. I'm not really going to go into this, you know what it is. And if we go into here, we can choose octaves. Like if we take the cello up a bit, like that. If we take the cello down, and that you can do with all the instruments. On top of that we have the main like this, and we have engine, and then we have the mixer, which should explain itself pretty much. It's a mixer. You can adjust the amount of reverb, volume, and you can pan your instruments. You can put equalizer and stuff, and you can compress, and you can edit your reverb if you actually want to use the reverb on the assigned instrument. And that's basically the function of this part of the orchestra. I think it's a pretty neat function for a library. I would never use it for a finished composition, but you can use it for of course, if you have this set up only for a string section, you can go in and you can edit all the arpeggiators to work like that, and you can play your notes, and you can actually build a whole string section from this, and a whole brass section and woodwinds and so on. So using it like that, I don't see a problem, but you should not deliver out finished pieces to, for example, a game developer using some of the presets in animated orchestra, for example. That's just not professional, in my opinion, of course. Yeah, I'm not gonna go more into that. Besides that, the only thing I have to say about the orchestra by Sonuscore is that, like I mentioned earlier, you get these different kind of library with your strings and your brass and so on. You don't get much if we take woodwinds, for example. You get, if we go into the flute, you get the different sustain and staccato and so on, but that's not really much. But of course the main thing about the orchestra is the presets and all that stuff. So if it didn't have that part with the presets, it's, in my opinion, would be a very overpriced library. But because of the preset functions and the way you can edit the arpeggiators and envelopes, it matches the price a bit better, which is 399 euros, which is pretty expensive for a library. Of course, with the function and the amount of work that has gone into making all these pre-recorded presets and so on, it matches the price much better. And of course, when you're on top of the orchestra function, gets some pretty good sounding instruments, and you get the basics, the sustain and the tremolo and so on the strings, for example. I think the price is fair. I have seen some other guys on the internet ramble upon the price being too much and so on, but with all in mind, I think it's pretty, it's not cheap, but I don't think it's too expensive compared to what you actually get. Anyways, I'm rambling right now, and English is not my native language, so everything is just weird at this point. So I'm gonna end this video and say thank you for watching. If you like this, subscribe to my channel to keep updated when I upload something new, and I promise it will not be 3 months before my next video. And like the video if you liked it. If you did not like the video, dislike it, I guess, if you're one of those people. I don't know. Anyways, thank you for watching. Bye.